गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम ऑल ऑफ यू। आप सबका जूम पर और deAsra फाउंडेशन के फेसबुक पेज पर स्वागत। मेरा नाम आनंद है और मैं deAsra फाउंडेशन के साथ जुड़ा हूँ और आज हमारे साथ डॉक्टर रश्मि परांजपे, ये एक्सपर्ट हमारे साथ है। डॉक्टर रश्मि जी, वेलकम एंड वार्म वेलकम ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द एंटायर deAsra टीम as well as all the entrepreneurs present.
Thank you, sir.
So it's our pleasure to have you, Dr. Rashmi. Rashmi is an expert in the field of finance. उन्होंने फाइनेंस इस विषय में PhD की हुई है and she's been a consultant to lots and lots of organizations and businesses till date, as well as she is also an expert on financial modeling. So NSE का उनको 2017 में she's got a recognition and award from NSC. So, Dr. Rashmi, it's our pleasure to have you over here. फाइनेंस ये एक ऐसा टॉपिक है जो थोड़ा सा एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को चकमा देता है, और जब एंटरप्रेन्योर्स बिजनेस में काम करना शुरू करते हैं तो एक बात जिसका सबके मन में थोड़ा सा डर होता है वो रहता है फाइनेंस। तो विदाउट फाइनेंस बिजनेस कैन नॉट सर्वाइव, बट one thing that everybody is worried about or a little afraid about is finance. तो आज मुझे लगता है कि ये जो थोड़ा सा डर है वो दूर करने के लिए we have called you and we are having a discussion with you, and I think the topic is also extremely relevant, understanding and application of finance in business. तो finance ये चीज समझना जरूरी क्यों है और finance का business में importance क्या है, इन सब चीजों के बारे में हम आज डिस्कशन करेंगे। और आपका जो प्रेजेंटेशन है वो भी हमारे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स के लिए बहुत ही इंसाइटफुल होगा, इज व्हाट आई नो। आपने जो PhD की हुई है तो आपका एक्सपीरियंस क्या है कि जब बिजनेसमैन या एंटरप्रेन्योर आपके पास आते हैं कंसल्टेंसी के लिए या गाइडेंस के लिए, तो फाइनेंस की कौन सी चीजों में आपने देखा है कि उनको ज्यादा गाइडेंस की जरूरत होती है, यानी फाइनेंस के जो गैप्स रहते हैं वो कौन से एरियाज में रहते हैं? क्या वो टैक्सेशन में रहते हैं, ये इनवॉइसिंग में रहते हैं, या कैश फ्लो में रहते हैं? कौन से एरिया में सबसे ज्यादा आपको बिजनेसेस को गाइडेंस आपने दिया है? इस क्वेश्चन के साथ में हम आपका गाइडेंस शुरू करेंगे।
Thank you, sir, for my introduction. And आपका जो क्वेश्चन है कि बेसिकली फॉर गाइडेंस, businesses basically or businessmen rather basically lack working capital management knowledge. Taxation के लिए they can go to a chartered accountant और chartered accountant उनको बताता है ऐसे ऐसे करो, so they do that. Many people are not also afraid of that, but working capital management or the day-to-day running of business, so basically financial management itself, they find it a bit difficult. And I've been teaching MBA students for the past 13-14 years across institutes in Pune, MIT, DY Patil and all that. So even with students, I find that finance is बहुत difficult नहीं है, frankly, according to me. But वो जो terms होते हैं ना, वो कभी सुने नहीं होते हैं हम लोगों ने. That's why people find it difficult. So if we can simplify that and go to the basics, and if they understand the basics, then they find it very easy to understand. So that is my right from students to entrepreneurs to businessmen. So that is my experience actually. So that's
Absolutely.
why normally I
And
try
I
to
think,
make it very simple.
Yeah, and that takes us to the topic, understanding and application of finance in business. Over to you, Dr. Rashmi.
Okay, thank you, Anand sir. And so as Anand sir said, today's topic for discussion is understanding and application of finance in business. So any business, whether it is big or small, it is done for earning profits as it is. So to make a business sustainable, that is to carry on the business, finance management is very important, because finally we do business to earn profits and to make money. If you are not able to do that, then the business goes for a toss. So the funds, if they are not utilized properly, then the businessman starts facing a shortage of funds and is unable to run the business smoothly. So that is why financial planning, financial control in business is very necessary to earn good profits. There should not be mismanagement of funds. Yani ke when we earmark some funds for a particular purpose, we allocate funds for a particular purpose, then if the businessman does not use it for that purpose, he starts using it for some other purposes, then that leads to mismanagement of businesses, and many businesses get into liquidation and band ho jate hain businesses because they are not able to manage the funds properly. That is why management of finance or management of funds which they have got for the business very efficiently is very necessary. If there is efficient use of funds in business, then it will help in earning good profits. It will help in running the business smoothly. And if the business is running smoothly, then naturally it will be easier for the businessman to grow the business. So I'll start sharing my PowerPoint presentation. So just give me a minute. Is the uh, is the
Yes,
PPT
it is.
visible?
It is visible. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So understanding and application of finance in business. So today the topics we'll be covering is importance of opening a current account with a bank, routing of transactions through a bank account, importance of maintaining records of cash transactions, optimum utilization of financial resources, significance of repayment of loan EMI, especially on or before due date, effective cash flow management, and importance of budget. So let us start with a business basically. When we start a business or when any businessman wants to start business, first thing he has to look for is finance, from where he should get the funds. And I think everybody knows that the first source of finance for any business is what is known as capital. Everybody knows this term capital, that is own or personalized funds. Now, for a small businessman, if he is falling short of capital, that is short of funds required for his business, he can also raise funds from his friends or from his family members. There are banks or NBFCs, that is non-banking finance corporations. I can give you some examples like say Bajaj Finance. So these are NBFCs. So these kind of organizations also give funds for running business. So the funds which these banks or NBFCs give are of two types. There are long-term loans given and a short-term loan given. So the long-term loan given is normally called as a term loan. Now these are traditional sources of finance, which I'm talking about right now. So the long-term loan is normally taken by a business to acquire assets such as plant and machinery, equipment, and furniture for business purposes. So this remains into business for a longer period, and the businessman won't be able to refund this or repay this back in a year because it takes some time to recover this amount. So long term means it's more than a 1 year. It can be 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, depending upon how the business is growing and the amount which has been raised. And the second type of loan is cash credit. So this is normally, I think we all can imagine that, say the setup is ready for a business. Infrastructure is ready. Supposing it's a small shop, the shop is ready and for business. But now for the day-to-day running of the business also, the businessman needs some funds. So that is called as working capital. And for that, there is some type of a loan called as cash credit, which banks can give a loan. Because if the business is not able to run daily smoothly, then again it can come to a stop. So let us see what is the importance of cash flow management. Judicious use of cash, that is cash inflow is low. Now I think you all must be aware, since you all are doing business, that there are two types of sales. One is cash sale and other is credit sale. So in cash sale, I sell goods or I give services and I receive cash immediately. Whereas in a credit sale, I sell goods or I give service, but the customer says that I'll pay you after some time. So in such cases, the cash inflow can be slow. Now this will again depend upon the nature of business. Now, if the cash inflow is slow, which means the available cash is less, then payments can become irregular or they do not happen on time because I do not have cash with me or funds with me to make my payments on time. Whereas many times in small businesses, like say, supposing it's a laundry business or it's a salon or a beauty parlor, many women do pay off immediately. So there the cash inflow can be immediate or fast. So the available cash is more. So again, that can be a problem because then there is idle cash. Supposing I have my own beauty parlor and I'm getting every day a lot of cash. Today I don't have to make any payments. Every day I don't pay the electricity bill or the rent. So then it can happen that I use these funds for some other purpose. Now to avoid these, normally, if every business opens an account with a bank and deposit the money into a bank, then these funds can be safe with the bank. So Normally for a business, a current account is opened. Now, what are the advantages of opening a current account for business? Let us see that. In a current account, unlike in a savings account, there are unlimited transactions. So every day I can deposit n number of times money into the bank, or I can even withdraw number of times. So the transactions are unlimited, whereas for a savings account, the transactions are limited. This also helps in smooth operations, and this leads to separation of funds. So this leads to separation of funds in the sense now my business account is different and my personal account is different. So what happens is all my business money goes into my business account and my personal money goes into my personal account. So for me also to keep a track of my business becomes easier, and also actually of my personal finance, my personal spendings, it becomes much easier for me also. There is separation of funds, and this enables drawing. So I can withdraw every month. I can decide, like say, supposing I need 20,000 every month for my own purpose, which we call it as drawings in business. I can withdraw that amount from the current account and put it in my savings account. Now, this will also put a control on my personal savings as well, so that the business money is not diverted here and there. And of course, when the money, instead of keeping the whole cash which comes into my parlor, I think if I put it in the bank account, there is security of money. This also helps to establish legitimacy, in the sense like when I pay taxes, I can I can show my business account, and it becomes very obvious that this is my business account and this is my personal account. So segregation of accounts and having a legitimate account for my business, having an independent entity for my business becomes much more easier if I have a current account. Current accounts do not give you interest unlike a savings account, but many times you can give instructions to the bank saying that, say supposing, I'm just giving an example, whenever I say some amount, just for an example sake. So if supposing I give instructions to the bank that if the money in my current account exceeds 20,000, you can make a FD out of it. So then I can keep earning on that FD whatever interest, and if I need it, I can again bring back that FD into my current account. So that is how a current account, actually opening a bank account, is very useful. It can also, once I open a current account, I can build a rapport with the bank where I open the current account. And then later on to get loans from the bank also can become easier, because if the bank finds me as a good customer where my current account is operated properly, then the bank will facilitate me and give me loans if I desire. So that will also help me in growing my business. So then let's see that, as I said earlier, that banks give short-term loans. So today we'll concentrate more on short-term loans, that is cash credit, which is given for working capital management. So today we'll concentrate more on working capital management, that is short-term management of funds. So let's see what is working capital management. Every business requires enough cash flow for daily operations, such as purchasing raw material, paying wages, rent, etc. And managing these day-to-day operations by making daily or monthly payments on time, which is very important, helps in running the business smoothly. So it also involves to make enough cash available on time for routine operations. So working capital management consists of matching or synchronizing of cash inflows and outflows, which means that मेरा जो inflow है, जो business में पैसा आ रहा है और मुझे उससे जो payments करने हैं वो match होने चाहिए. The time should also match and the amounts I should be able to match. So that is what, if I do my working capital management properly, it helps me in that. So working capital management helps me in adequate cash flows. It also helps me in meeting my short-term planned expenses, whereas sometimes in business, or many times in business, there are unplanned or unforeseen expenses also. So I can meet those as well. And it also helps me in maintaining liquidity in business. Liquidity is key. I have enough cash for my running the business. That is liquidity. मेरे पास sufficient पैसा है जिससे मैं मेरा business चला सकूं. That is known as liquidity. Every business has two types of cash flows. One is a cash inflow and one is a cash outflow. So normally businesses have some cash sales, so that is an inflow. Inflow is जहां से पैसा business में आता है, so that is a cash sale. और second is जैसे मैंने पहले बोला था कि credit sale होता है, यानी कि मैं उधारी पे धंधा कर रही हूँ थोड़ा सा, तो जब वो उधारी मुझे वापस मिलती है, यानी कलेक्शन फ्रॉम क्रेडिट सेल्स, और इट इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज अकाउंट रिसीवेबल्स. So from there I will have an inflow. Some businesses give some services, repairs, whatever, so those service charges can be inflows. I'm just giving a few examples of an cash inflow to understand. और मेरा कुछ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बिजनेस है और उसमें मेरे पास स्क्रैप मटेरियल है, तो अगर मैं वो बेचूं स्क्रैप, सो सेल ऑफ स्क्रैप कैन बी अनदर कैश इनफ्लो. कमीशन कुछ मिलता है तो कमीशन, दैट कैन बी एन इनफ्लो. whereas cash outflows for a business can be rent, that is भाड़ा जो मुझे पे करना है अगर मेरा भाड़े पे है तो, जो जगह जहाँ से मैं ऑपरेट कर रही हूँ वहाँ. इफ आई हैव सम पीपल वर्किंग फॉर मी, लेबर पीपल, तो उनके वेजेस, कुछ लोग अगर मेरे बिजनेस में काम कर रहे हैं उनको सैलरी देती हूँ मैं. लाइट बिल पे करना है. अगर मेरा मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बिजनेस है तो रॉ मटेरियल मुझे खरीदना है. अगर मैं ट्रेडिंग में हूँ तो मुझे जो मटेरियल खरीदना है बेचने के लिए तो उसका जो परचेस है. सो ऑल दीज आर कैश आउटफ्लोज, यानी कि देयर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ फ्लोज, cash flows. One is inflow and one is outflow. Now matching this is very important, and if a person can match this, that is the timing also and the amount, then he should be able to do very good business, no doubt. So in a working capital management, there is something called as an operating cycle. This operating cycle will vary according to the nature of business. Let's see what this is first. See, this is cash. When I put some cash, that is, I'm introducing some funds into the business and I buy some raw material. This is an example of a manufacturing business. And then I manufacture goods, finished goods. Then I sell the goods and then मेरे पास पैसा आता है. If it is on cash तो यहीं पे पैसा आएगा. And if it is a credit sale यानी उधारी पे है तो after a few days I'll get that. So this operating cycle takes some period. Now during this period, supposing I've introduced some funds, during that period मेरे बाकी के खर्चे भी चालू रहते हैं बिजनेस में, जैसे कि लाइट बिल आएगा, भाड़ा भरना है और रॉ मटेरियल खरीदना है जब तक ये पैसा यहाँ से यहाँ तक नहीं आता है. So for that again I keep needing funds. So for every business, like I can give you an example. If I have a furniture manufacturing business and मैं stools और tables छोटे छोटे बना रही हूँ और मैंने raw material खरीद के उसका टेबल बना लिया, तो I'll just assume that it takes me say 7 days to manufacture a table. तो यहाँ पे मेरे goods ready हो गए 7 दिन में. After that बेचने के लिए से 2 दिन लगे मुझे, so 9 दिन हो गए. And the customer comes and buys it and he says कि I'll pay you after say 3 days. तो यानी कि यहाँ पे हो गए 7 दिन, फिर ये 2 9 दिन and 3. So after 12 days, so my operating cycle becomes 12 days. यानी यहाँ से यहाँ तक cash to finished goods it is 7 days, finished goods to sales is 2 days, 9 days, and from here it is 3 days. So it becomes 12 days. Now this will again vary from business to business. अगर मैं केक बना के बेच रही हूँ, I am baking a cake, तो मुझे हार्डली इट विल बी अ डे, बिकॉज मैं 2 घंटे में सामान खरीदूंगी, 2 घंटे में केक बनाऊंगी और बेच दूंगी और शायद होपफुली मुझे इमीडिएटली कैश भी आ जाएगी. So this operating cycle will depend upon the nature of business. So you have to first see what kind of business you have और उसमें कितना लगता है. अगर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग नहीं है तो भी ट्रेडिंग में भी if you only have to skip this raw material and work in process. So you sell it off, selling में जितना वक्त लगता है उतना, and then getting back the money. So during that period also business keeps needing more money. So we can't keep on waiting till this cash comes in, then again buy raw material. This cycle has to keep on going. If I do not buy raw material on time, then what will happen is my labor people will wait, they will sit idle, and I'll have to pay them. So my cost बढ़ जाएगी, but उतना profit नहीं मिलेगा मुझे. So that is why understanding the operating cycle is very essential. So just like we saw in the operating cycle, there are elements of working capital management. So these elements are like say inventory management. Now inventory यानी कि जो हमारे पास inventory होती है, हमारा stock होता है. Again, if I go back to my furniture manufacturing business, मेरे पास inventory है. Supposing मैं हर महीने में 10 टेबल बना के बेचती हूँ. अगर मुझे सस्ते में सामान मिल रहा है और मिल ही रहा है अभी, तो मैंने 50 टेबल्स बनाने का सामान खरीद लिया, तो क्या होता है, मेरा पैसा वहां पे ब्लॉक हो जाता है. एक तो आई नीड मोर स्पेस ऑल्सो फॉर दैट एंड आई नीड मोर फंड्स ऑल्सो. सो आई एम इन्वेस्टिंग माई फंड्स एंड स्पेस इनटू दैट. सो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इज दैट बिकॉज ऑफ दैट आई एम नॉट एबल टू यूटिलाइज दोज फंड्स एल्सवेयर. मुझे और कुछ खर्चे हैं बिजनेस के, वो मैं नहीं कर पा रही हूँ. and then I have to keep telling them कि अभी नहीं है मेरे पास पैसा. So that is inventory management. So supposing I need to manufacture, or I'm manufacturing and selling 10 tables, ज्यादा से 15 खरीद लूं मैं, that is sufficient. जैसे मैंने बोला कि ज्यादा भी नहीं खरीदना चाहिए, उसी हिसाब से अगर मैं कम टेबल्स का सामान खरीदूं, यानी 5 ही टेबल्स का सामान खरीदूं, तो क्या होता है, अगेन फॉर 5 टेबल्स माय पीपल सिट आइडल, तो मेरे सेल्स कम होंगे, सेल कम होगा तो मेरा प्रॉफिट कम होगा. सो आइडेंटिफाइंग दिस कि मेरे पास कितनी इन्वेंट्री होनी चाहिए, यानी कि मेरा प्रोसेस सारा सेलिंग तक रुक ना जाए, दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट. So it should not be less, it should not be more. So there are many, of course, various types of methods of calculating inventory, but a small businessman can also chalk out for himself itself कि हर एक महीने में how much am I selling, and accordingly also he can sell and keep the inventory accordingly. Second is receivables management. Now this refers to planning and controlling of debt owed by the customer on account of credit sales. So when I am selling on credit, यानी मैं जब उधारी पे बेच रही हूँ, तो कोई लोग बोलेंगे कि 1 महीने में देता हूँ, कोई लोग बोलेंगे 6 महीने में मैं देता हूँ पैसे. So what happens is that there is an average, say supposing average period I get the money in 2 months. Now I have to see to it that this does not keep on extending. It should not go from 2 months to 3 months, 6 months, because during that period I've invested money, I've sold the goods, but I have not received funds. But I have to run my business. So for running the business, I have to raise funds from somewhere else. I have to pay interest on that. So again, my cost will increase. And if my costs increase, my profits will go down. So that is why, again, receivables management, where I do not give too much of credit period also to people, but I should give a bit of credit so that it does not affect my sales also. So that is also important, how much I give this credit period. And third is cash management, that is collecting and managing the cash flows, यानी cash inflow and cash outflow मेरा बरोबर synchronize होना चाहिए. So what is
Doctor,
yes sir,
sorry to interrupt, but can we have the slide in the slide presentation mode so that उसका
yes sir,
font
sure,
थोड़ा
sure.
बड़ा हो?
Yes, is that fine now?
Yes, yes, yes. This is great.
Okay, so what is cash flow management? It is a process of tracking the amount of cash inflows and outflows in your business, and this helps you predict the amount of money available within your business in the future. And it also helps to identify and evaluate the amount of money your business needs to meet daily expenses like paying employees and suppliers. So it's a process of tracking the amount of cash inflow and outflow. कितना मेरा inflows है, कितना outflow है, and उसके हिसाब से I can predict कि मुझे future में कितना पैसा लगेगा. And that is why also I can also predict कि these are my expenses of say paying employees, my suppliers of raw material, and accordingly I can raise that much amount of funds. So what are the causes of cash flow issues? Now, many times businesses face cash flow issues, and what is the reason for that? So very first reason can be that there is low amount of sales. Sales ज़्यादा नहीं हो रहे company के, तो money inflow is less, cash inflow is less. Or there can be a delay in the collection of money. That is when I'm collecting the money, when I give credit, I make credit sales, and when I give a credit period to people, then when I'm collecting the money, उसमें बहुत देर हो रही है. तो even though I've made sales, यानी कि I've invested my money into manufacturing and I've sold the goods, but I'm not receiving the collecting the money. So that can be a cash flow problem. Or there can be high expenses. Like say, again, I'll go back to say our furniture manufacturing business, where like say, I've got 2 carpenters with me, and actually एक carpenter का ही काम है मेरे पास. So I'm paying 2 carpenters, but 1 carpenter is sitting idle, in short. So either I should get work for the other carpenter, or I should have only 1 carpenter with me. So my expenses are high. That is why I'm not able to meet my outflows with my inflows. Then there is improper inventory management. The way I told you initially when we were going through the earlier slide, where inventory management means that there should not be excess of inventory and there should not be less of inventory. So there have to be proper inventory so that it does not stop my business also, but I do not have too much of inventory with me. Again, if I have too much of inventory with me, sometimes goods can get damaged also, and then I have already invested into manufacturing it and the goods are damaged. So again, that's a big loss. So that also can be one of the causes of cash flow. And low pricing of goods and services. So sometimes it can happen that the prices which I am charging for my goods and services is low compared to the market. So I need to keep a check with the market prices, and I can at least price as per the market. So this can be, so my inflow is low here. So either inflows are less or outflows are more. That can be a cause of cash flow issues. So road to effective cash flow management. Know how much you need to break even. Now, what is break even? Break even is a point where there is no loss and no profit. That is, the company is neither making profits, neither making losses. Now, again, this will depend upon the nature of business. So every business will have a different break even point. Like I said, for cake baking business, it will be very faster. वेरेज फॉर फर्नीचर थोड़ा लेट होगा, और कुछ मशीनरी बना के बेच रहे तो और थोड़ा लेट होगा. सो वो ब्रेक इवन कब आता है? बिकॉज आफ्टर द ब्रेक इवन इफ आई सेल मोर देन आई स्टार्ट मेकिंग प्रॉफिट. सो ब्रेक इवन के बाद ही मेरे प्रॉफिट शुरू होते हैं. द अर्लियर मेरा ब्रेक इवन हो जाए इट इज द बेटर. जितना जल्दी मेरा ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट यानी कि नो प्रॉफिट नो लॉस पॉइंट आता है उतना अच्छा है, बिकॉज आफ्टर दैट आई स्टार्ट मेकिंग प्रॉफिट्स. So first thing is you should know how much I need to sell to break even. Like say I need every month, if I sell 10 tables, then I'll come to a break even point. So I must try and sell 10 tables every month. I should be selling more than 10 tables. The more I sell beyond 10 tables, that is my profits. If I'm not able to break even, means I have to keep on infusing more funds into the business. So I have to keep on raising more funds to run the business. Have an emergency cash reserve. That is, every time it's always better to have an emergency cash fund, because many times there are some unforeseen expenses coming up. तो थोड़ा सा पैसा बाजू में रखे इमरजेंसी के लिए तो अच्छा रहता है. So again, business रुक ना जाता है उसी वजह से, so that we can keep on running the business and have a bit of emergency cash reserve. Set invoice timelines and terms. यानी कि invoice यानी कि bill. When I make a bill, the timelines should be decided there. Supposing I'm doing a credit sale, then it should be decided that within a month I should get the payment. So whenever I'm selling itself, I should discuss these terms with the customer, so that after a month I can start follow up and get the money. Facility of online payments. Nowadays, you might have seen that very few people carry cash. So many times the reason given is that abhi mere paas cash nahi hai. So if a facility of online payments is given, like say Google Pay hai, NEFT hai, RTGS hai, jahan pe people can transfer funds from one account to another, then the cash inflow can be faster, because online payments say the people can transfer the funds. Drive sales with incentives. If you give some discount for cash sales, then you'll get a cash inflow faster. Reduce your expenses. जैसे मैंने बोला कि if I have 2 carpenters and I need 1 carpenter, then I should either increase my sales or I should have 1 carpenter. Or like say for my furniture business, I need 200 square feet of a shop and I have 400 square feet, which means I'm paying extra for that 200 square feet, but I'm not using that for my business. So I'm paying double the rent. यानी कि वहां पे मैं खर्चा कम कर सकती हूँ. So I should look for a place which is 200 square feet. So like that, I can see, I have to keep on, going through my expense and see whether they are all justified. Clear out your inventory. That is scrap, agar kuch hai to. So that, again, depending upon the business, some businesses can develop scrap in 2-3 months. So you can keep on selling off the scrap, and it will not occupy your space, and whatever money is involved into that can also be clear to you. And we can develop a cash flow forecast. So let's see what is a cash flow forecast. Forecasting is how much do I need in future? So I can first forecast cash flows. So again, there are 2 types of flows. One is cash inflow and cash outflow. So for cash inflows, that is a sales forecast I can make. So I can be when making a sales forecast, I have to be conservative and realistic. Now for this, I have to use my previous period numbers as a guide. Like say in the past 3-4 months, I've been selling 10 tables. So I can at least say I'll be able to sell 10 tables in the next few months. And if it's a seasonal business, then I have to also take that into consideration. Like supposing I'm selling umbrellas or raincoats, so I can't expect to sell that in the winter season. So accordingly, I have to take into account if it's a seasonal business. Now let us come to the cash outflow part, that is forecasting operating expenses. Again, here I can take my previous expenses. Some of the expenses we know, like say rent is not going to increase every month. So rent I know, salaries I know. So accordingly, I can take those figures for my future period and prepare a cash budget. So I'll also show you how to prepare a cash budget so that you can forecast and then you can be prepared for those expenses in advance. Don't be too conservative. यानी कि बहुत कम खर्चे मत दिखाओ. If you have excess of money, it will always be handy. But if you have less money, then again, last minute you have to run around to gather some more money. Add contingency expenses, that is last minute kuch expenses aa jaye to, so you can always keep some 5% of your same expenses as contingency, which you don't know can come up. So that is operating expenses are the day-to-day running expenses of the business. And in the same way, forecasting capital expenditure, that is capex we call it as, which means the long-term expenses. Like if I'm planning to buy any assets in my furniture shop, I want to buy a nice table and a nice chair for myself. So those assets say, or I need a cupboard to keep my files. Any of these kind of assets. I'm just giving you an example of a furniture so that you all can relate to what I'm talking about. And include any other payments which you are planning to make into this capital expenditure. So preparing a cash budget, how do we prepare this? Depending upon the type of business, you can prepare it daily. In some businesses, there is daily cash coming in. So then you should prepare a daily cash budget, or you can prepare a weekly cash budget, but the monthly cash budget is necessary very much. So every month you must prepare a cash budget. And initially you can start preparing a daily or weekly, depending upon your cash flows of your business. Now, what all do you need to prepare a cash budget? So you need data regarding the sales, regarding the expenses. So how much sales you will be making or you're expecting to make, what are your expenses, what are your expectations of expenses and your purchases. So in short, what can be your cash inflows and what can be your cash outflows in future. So if we know that data, then we can prepare a cash budget. It helps to meet expenses on time. And in a cash budget, we do not include non-cash expenses. Now, non-cash expense normally एक होता है, which is depreciation. Supposing मेरा furniture का business है and I have a tempo for transportation purpose. Now I keep depreciating that tempo. So I show depreciation. But actually, when I'm showing depreciation in my profit and loss account, I'm not paying cash to anyone. So it is called as a non-cash expense. Like salary, I'm paying to my people. Rent, I'm paying to the landlord. But depreciation, I'm not paying to anyone. So it is okay to show that in the profit and loss account because it is an expense, but it is a non-cash expense. And here we are preparing a cash budget. So that is why we should not include depreciation into that. So include all cash expenses, that is cash inflows and cash outflows only in a cash budget. So tips for preparing a cash budget. Use a cash budget template. You have to determine the time frame, that is you want to make it monthly. As I said, everybody should prepare a monthly cash budget. And depending upon the business inflows, you can decide whether to make it daily or weekly. So you have to decide the time frame. Identify a target cash balance. So decide how much cash balance you want every month. So 10,000, I feel that I should always have into my business. So I decide that much. Then enter the current cash balance, and then we project the cash flows, that is inflows and outflows. So best practices while preparing a cash budget is take advantage of technology. So nowadays Excel is there and it's a wonderful tool. and you can do a lot with Excel. So it becomes very easy to use Excel. Then you can compare budgeted versus actual flow and prepare a plan for cash surplus or deficiency. So I'll explain this to you. deAsra Foundation has a tracker, cash flow tracker. So I'll show that to you and I'll explain that to you so that you'll understand how to prepare a cash budget through that. So this is a cash flow tracker of deAsra. This is an Excel sheet. So these are the monthly inflows and these are the monthly outflows. Now here we record the opening bank balance and the opening cash balance. So this is the total. Now see, this is done for 12 months and then the total is taken here. So this is a monthly one. If you want to prepare it a daily one, so you can write it whatever today's date, 7th April or 8th April, 9th April. Weekly, so you can write down here week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. So the same template can be used accordingly. So in the opening balance, that is cash and bank, this is the total of both. So this is the amount which I have opening balance as when I start with the month of April. Now these are my inflows, that is say debtors realized, that is when I've done a credit sale, the money which comes into, or I've got some advance receipt, any cash which comes into business. There is a long-term loan taken from the bank or any other income, or like say commission received or deposit introduced, or there is a cash sale. So all those, if there are number of products, so then I add up all this and there is a total cash inflow. So this much inflow I'm expecting to come. Now say April chal raha hai. So for May, I can prepare it and I can expect like say supposing my total inflow comes to say 50,000. Now I go to the outflow in the similar manner. Outflows are all my expenses. So again, the various heads of expenses are given here. Rent, electricity, salary, wages, food or drinks, raw material or goods purchased, equipment or furniture purchase. So various. These need not occur in every month. Some can occur every month. Some might not occur every month. Transport, sundry creditors paid, advance payment, installment, that is EMI, interest on loan, personal drawings, which I was talking about initially. If you have a current account and from that I want to withdraw every month 20,000, so I can put that here. Income tax payment, investment in other fixed assets. So that is all my total cash outflows. So this is my total cash outflows. So I have my total inflows. I have the balance with me initially, how much I had, and this is my total outflow. So now the closing bank balance will be there. That will be the opening. Okay. And this is my closing balance of cash and bank. So this is what my opening balance into bank plus cash balance, whatever I have, plus all my inflows and minus my outflows. That will be my closing balance. This is positive, which means I'll be now supposing in the month of May I have prepared this budget. And if this is positive in the month of May, which means I'll be having a surplus. Now, if this is a minor surplus, it is okay. But if it is a very big surplus, like say it is a surplus of say 50,000, then I can invest the balance amount into some FD or wherever so that I can earn some interest on that. If it is a deficit, that is if it is into minus, then it can happen that I need to know that supposing it is minus 20,000, which means in the month of May, I'm going to fall short by 20,000 rupees. So I need to raise that much of funds. So this is what it will show you. So now I can be prepared in this month itself, by the end of this month, that okay, I'll be needing this amount. So accordingly, I'll have to raise those funds. Or I have surplus of funds. I should be having surplus of funds. Now, this is the next sheet. I'll only explain to you these two sheets today. So as I was telling you, you prepare a budget, and then once you prepare a budget, so that was what we prepared a budget. And now this is the actuals. So here I'll put actually when it happens. Now I can compare. Now, like say here, rent and all that won't change. Okay. But like my cash sales can change. So now I can actually see that accordingly, I can make projections for the next future months. So this will help me in making my future projections or updating my future projections. So if we go to this last slide. So best practices while preparing a cash budget. You can take advantage of technology. So use Excel. Compare budgeted versus actual cash flow. So when you actually start putting in the cash flows and you see the budgeted, then you will know that, okay, I had budgeted for 50,000 inflows, but this one it is only 40,000. So I need to get in more cash inflows. I need to sell more, or I'm surplus. And then prepare accordingly. I can prepare a plan for cash surplus or deficiency. So this is the way we can prepare a cash budget. And if in a business a cash budget is prepared, then it will definitely help in proper working capital management. In fact, as I know, many businesses go into liquidation and band ho jate hai because working capital management is not good. Initial, the whole setup is ready. They have good infrastructure, everything they have. But the day-to-day running of business becomes difficult. And that is why sometimes businesses have to stop. So that is very essential to understand how to do this. So this is about understanding an application of finance in business. Thank you.
Great. Dr. Rashmi, it was absolutely insightful, and it was made very simple for everybody to understand with the nitty-gritties that a business owner has to work. And I think these Excels or all of these tools, I would say, are going to really help people keep like a tab on your numbers, maybe day on day basis, so that you constantly are aware about what is fluctuating, what is not, where do I need to spend more time, and how do I manage, because most of the time management is dependent on the money management. And uh, where should I spend my more time? And in business we use this word low hanging fruit at times, saying that get the low hanging fruit so that you have the cash which keeps flowing, and then you can build other areas which might be a little more expensive in terms of investment that you are doing in any business. So it was very insightful. कुछ questions भी आए थे बीच में. Food Passionista has asked one question about sundry credit paid का मतलब उनको जानना.
Okay. So I think I'll need to go to the tracker, is it? It was in the tracker. Sundry creditors paid. Yes, over here, no? Sundry creditors. So creditors is an outflow, which means when I purchase goods, just like I sell goods on credit, udhari pay. So in the same way, I also expect some credit when I buy raw material. Correct. So when I buy raw material, and if I say that I'll also pay you after a month, then it is called as a creditors. So जैसे मैं उधारी पे बेचती हूँ वैसे उधारी पे लेती भी हूँ सामान. So I have to pay after a month or whenever I have to pay. So that is known as sundry creditors.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Rashmi, and Prakash is also with us. Prakash is our expert in the domain of finance, and also he's guided many entrepreneurs on business planning. Prakash, welcome. It's great to have you as well.
Yeah, thank you, Anand.
Can I stop sharing the screen?
Sure.
Yeah. So Anand, there is one question.
Sure.
That is we can able to get this Excel. So yes, Mr. Chandrasekhar Mane asked this question. So sir, definitely you will get this particular Excel, this template. This is a cash inflow and outflow tracker, and we have a service known as a cash flow management service. If you apply for this service from our website, then you will able to get the cash inflow outflow tracker. Yeah.
Absolutely great. Thank you, Prakash, for that information.
Yes.
जैसे प्रकाश जी ने अभी बताया कैश फ्लो मैनेजमेंट की सर्विस, तो मैं थोड़ा सा एक 30 सेकंड्स में आपको बताता हूँ सबको, एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को, कि हमारे देआसरा के जो छोटे छोटे टूल्स है जो एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को यूजफुल है, जिसमें कैश इनफ्लो आउटफ्लो मैनेजिंग का ट्रैकर है, वैसे अलग अलग परफॉर्मेंस ट्रैकर्स भी है। जैसे आपका बिजनेस अभी कहाँ है, कौन से डोमेन में आपको इम्प्रूवमेंट करना जरूरी है, ऐसे बहुत सारे मार्केटिंग का आप जो आपका प्लान है वो असेस कर सकते हैं कि क्या वो ठीक है, आपको कौन से एरिया में इम्प्रूवमेंट करनी चाहिए मार्केटिंग। तो ये टूल्स आप यूज करते रहिए, क्योंकि इन टूल्स के यूज से आपको आपका रियल टाइम डेटा आपके बिजनेस के बारे में मिलेगा, और वो जरूरी होगा आपके पूरे बिजनेस के इनसाइट्स के। और आपको जो एक फील होता है बिजनेस का, वो रियलिस्टिक, अकाउंटेबल और रियल डेटा पे अगर आपको बेस करना है, तो ये टूल्स बहुत इजी और एक्सेसिबल है, आप वेबसाइट पे वो पा सकते हैं। और जो सर्विसेज प्रकाश जी ने बात की, वो सर्विसेज इन टूल्स पर ही आधारित है। तो हमारे एक्सपर्ट्स आपको गाइड करेंगे कि ये टूल्स यूज कैसे करने हैं, और आपका बिजनेस इससे बढ़ पाएगा। सो thanks, Prakash, for the details. Any more questions? We can
Yeah,
wait for a bit.
I think I can see one question there from Food Passionista.
Sure.
Are those recurring FD? So I
Huh.
think this was while I was doing my presentation.
Yes, it was asked earlier.
Initially, yes. So initially, when I was saying that, if you have a current account and if you decide that I want some, say, 20,000 in my current account, and beyond that, if the money, there is excess money, then I can give instructions to the bank that you can convert this into a fixed deposit. So for some time period, I can keep on getting interest on that. So
Right.
this can be recurring. Now this depends upon the type of instructions you give, and nowadays banks offer a lot of these type of services to you where you do not lose. And in fact, you can also give instructions to the bank saying that if the balance goes below 20,000, you can automatically, or you can convert the FD and put the amount into my current account also.
Sure.
So yes, you can approach any bank. These services vary from bank to bank, so you need to approach the bank and find out, but banks have lots of these kind of services. So, and especially because of this Startup India, Make in India, and all these events going on in India, where the government is also promoting all these businesses, especially, there are a lot of schemes available from banks.
Great.
So you can find out more about that, but yes, they can be recurring also. You can put it depending upon for how much time period you need, 15 days, 1 month, 2 months. So that depends upon you also.
Sure. Great. I think, Dr. Ashby, it was fantastic talking to you. And Prakash, are there any more inputs from
I have a
yourself?
few queries, sorry to
Sure.
interrupt. Yeah, thank you, ma'am, for answering that. Because I've seen people doing it. I was not just sure if those FDs, suppose you were talking about emergency cash that if we need for the business, then can we break those FDs and then get it
Yes,
back?
yes. In
That
fact, nowadays, if you have an online thing, then it takes it hardly takes 5 minutes to convert the FD into your, bring
Into
that
your
FD back into your account if you have an online account. So it is possible, very much possible. Offline also you can do it, but then you have to go to the bank and then give instructions to the bank, fill it up for a pre this thing, early repayment of the FD. But if it's
yes.
online, so it doesn't take much time. Only, of course, the bank does not pay you so much of interest, which is natural. But you will definitely get the principal amount and a small amount of interest depending upon the period, how much the FD was there.
Okay, got it. And what are the charges of maintaining like a current account as compared to a savings one on annual?
Again, yeah. So again, that will depend upon bank to bank, but those are not very high because basically banks do not charge very high. Their bank income is always from a different source. So those are not too high. I mean, you will always benefit if you have a current account, definitely. The charges will be quite minimal.
Okay. And suppose like the we are starting the budgeting, the Excel sheets that you showed, we are starting the budgeting for next month, for May, suppose. So
Yes.
how soon should we start this month? Like which date should I start from? because these do take a bit of time. When do you suggest we should start if I want to budget for May, suppose?
Yes, I suggest to start off immediately because it will take you some time. You prepare a budget for May and June to start off with for 2 months. Okay. Now, depending upon the past data, if your business has been going on for the past few months, then you will know accordingly every month on an average, take the average, and you can start putting the sales figures, that is the inflow figures, and accordingly the outflow figures also. So you can start preparing it immediately. When May comes, you know what is the situation, because if at all there's going to be a deficit, you have some sufficient time to raise funds. So what happens is that you can also concentrate on your growing the business. Otherwise, at the end of the month, you keep running around only to raise funds to make future payments. So instead, if you are prepared, you can also get some time. And if it is surplus also, you will know that you'll be having surplus. So you can plan accordingly. So immediate, actually, you should prepare it. Normally, businesses should prepare minimum 3 months budget in advance or 6 months, but at least 3 months definitely.
Okay, 3 months. And is this a paid service that you're offering, Dr. Anand?
Yes, Anand.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
a paid service.
Okay. Can you elaborate on the details, please? How much we have to pay?
Yes, the charges for cash flow management service are 2,236 rupees. That is inclusive of GST.
Monthly, right?
No, it's not monthly. It's a one-time charge.
Oh, it's a one-time charge.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so see, that's
very
the whole
minimal
idea.
charges.
deAsra Foundation's services are small packet size, very low price kind of services to make them accessible and so that we can reach out maximum.
That's great. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Prakash. Thanks a lot, Dr. Rashmi. It was pleasure having you over here, and I'm sure that your guidance will keep motivating entrepreneurs. And thanks for making the complicated subject very easy for the entrepreneurs. And we will keep in keep on the discussions with you. आगे जाते हुए भी आपका guidance जरूरी है तो thanks a lot for joining us.
Yes, I would also like to thank Prakash sir and Anand sir for calling me to deAsra. It's a pleasure to talk to entrepreneurs. In fact, that's my passion. So it was great interacting with the entrepreneurs. So thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity. Looking forward to working with you further.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am.